Well, hi, everybody. I am so excited about tonight's call for a couple of reasons. One, if you were on the leadership call at noon today, Ashley was talking about our company and our businesses being the growth and development business or the growth and development mindset culture. And it really, really leads into what we're going to be doing tonight, because so many people are looking for leadership and looking for ways to grow themselves personally and as a team. And I'm so excited to be introducing Leonie tonight, because I know when we started doing a lot of these Tuesday nights, and Leonie was interested in sharing a little bit here and sharing a little bit there, but then she went to leadership school. And so when this came up with the disc, she just stepped right up and said, you know what, I would love to be able to share this. It's a really great way to get to know people and connect with your team and connect with your prospects through learning to speak the language of others. And so she's going to be sharing with us um, disc a disc training or a disc information, and she'll explain what all that means. But I do know when I've done this in the past, when I was working, it is something where you take a few days of training to learn how to train, and then when you actually go through the process of the disc, it takes a couple of days to do it and work through. So we're going to be showing you, and Leonie is going to be taking you through a couple of the exercises, but know that it's the tip of the iceberg. Okay, because you can learn more about this and Google some of it if it intrigues you as well. But I just don't want you I want you to be aware that there's a lot of information that's going to be shared with you, and I don't want you to feel overwhelmed. So Leonie, I know, will do an awesome job in breaking it down, and we will go back and forth a little bit just to kind of walk you through it. But it's okay if you kind of go, whoa, because we're going to do it one step at a time. So Leonie, I'm going to turn it over to you. I'm so excited because this is such an amazing topic.
Oh, well, thank you, Shelley. Good evening, everyone. And you know what? I am actually quite honored to be asked to do this. And I must say it was a bit of trepidation that I have, but I thought, what the heck? I'm with my sidekicks of Shelley and Nana. She's, they're manning that. And so, you know what? I'll do my best. And basically, I just wanted to share. For those who don't know me, I have been with Neolife. My name is Leonie, and I've been with Neolife for about 16 years. And how I met Nada was just a little bit. How I met her was through our school, through our church ministry. And our family had a lot of health issues. And here comes Nada, and she gave us a program. And in a short period of time, we had amazing results. So that's my background there. So coming up to the present, about a month ago, actually today, I left for leadership school. It's an amazing experience. You have to work you have to work to get there. And it was at the Brassfield Winery Estates. And I can tell you, it was life-changing. The corporate team was so welcoming. The Brassfield family is so welcoming. And we had team building, we had business training, and just reinforced the mission statement of the Brassfields as well as Neolife, and that is to end the trend of chronic disease. So I came back with 3 hours in mind. My 3 hours were refreshed, reignited, and refocused. And in one of those trainings, in one of those talks, we had this, as Shelley was saying, it's called DISC, D-I-S-C. Now, DISC, what DISC is a powerful tool that helps you understand yourself, but it also helps you understand others as well. And actually, this came about with this psychologist by the name of William Marston, and he did some research on human emotion and found that people had tend to have four main behavioral styles. And based on this research, he came up with this assessment, and it measures basically it measures yourself and others in four areas. So one of them being, I think you can switch the slide, Nada. One of them
And
being,
sorry, Leonie, just so that people know, sorry for jumping in, but just before
yeah,
you go through this, if
right.
you have any questions, there is a Q&A at the end. So we're just going to not use the chat so that Leonie can explain everything and we can actually do the exercises. So sorry, I should have said that before. So back to you, Leonie.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, so there's these four main parts here. So it's dominance, influence, steadiness, and conscientiousness. So all of us tend to have some of these characters, and we gravitate to probably one or two of them more than the others. So this would be classified as your disc profile. And I'm sure if you go through that, you can see part of yourself in a few of those DISC. Now, the important thing is to remember it doesn't capture every facet of your personality. Some may or may not resonate with you, but this gives you a snapshot of yourself and to better understand yourself, but also to understand others and how to relate to them, to recognize them. And also, like you can say, depending on the situation, you will exhibit your different personalities to suit your environment. For example, if you're home versus work, so you will act differently to a situation at work versus home. So it's it can be sort of interchangeable there according to your environment. So I'm going to go through this well to some detail. So it says there that each profile has a unique strength and but also your unique challenges, and not one is better than the other. You just fall into different categories. That's all. That's what makes up the world, guys. So dominance. Now, a person who is dominant, really, they don't like small talk. They go straight to the point. They like things black and white. They're very focused. And they like to take charge. Okay, take charge, and they challenge you. They like to ask a lot of questions. So if you in a particular meeting or something, you'll find someone will be asking lots of questions, and they want to take the leadership role. Now, there are little things here where it says they talk about the fears and the challenges. So one of the fears of a person who's under this category, they are seen, they're scared of being vulnerable. So that's why they have to take charge. They need the control, okay? A high D, which is high dominance, it can be impatient, it can be impersonal, or even insensitive. So you have to make sure that you're careful how you phrase things to others. So if I'm a high D, I'm going to make sure that I'm not as impatient and you be less, what shall I say, abrasive. That's the only word I can think of. The influence part is I, and this person would be fun, outgoing, confident, engaging, very approachable. Also the life of the party. So if you have a networking group, this person will be all over the place and very friendly and positive. And this person will also love people, very influential, thrives when you're part of a team, and anything that involves interacting with others. They are motivated by social recognition, group activities, and relationships in your life. One of the things too that they fear would be losing influence or having the disapproval of others. So you're worried about what others think about you. Okay. The height of this would be you ask them when in order to get to know them, you need to ask them about their family, their hobbies, and that person will just go right into it because they love to talk about personal things, about their personal levels, about just receiving genuine compliments. So when you do that too, make sure that when you're complimenting someone in that particular category, that it's a genuine compliment. Otherwise, don't compliment them at all. Also, what happens is a person of that nature, and sometimes I can see myself with this, I guess, it's you go from one to the other, you have all kinds of different topics all at once. And for me, I think it's your brain is just going in different areas. So it's kind of interesting when you see yourself, as I'm talking, you can see part of yourself in some of these categories so far. Another thing is the challenge for a person under this category is they tend to be emotional or they're disorganized when stressed, and they get, and in order to do that, they need certain strategies to get them to reduce their stress. They care too much about what other people think. But one thing I have to say is just know yourself that you know your value is, just know that you have value. That's basically it. Don't have to care what other people think of you. Just know that you have value. Okay. Now, steadiness is the next one. They are people who are calm and kind and love creating harmonious environments, making sure that everybody knows everybody, making sure that everybody gets along. You're very helpful, very supportive of others. Don't pretty much like confrontation. The people in this category, they're very good listeners and they like to cooperate with other people to get things done. And they value close relationships and they are very, very loyal, very accepting, very flexible, so well connected with others, always willing to adapt. Now, they tend to be reserved and can be very uncomfortable being in the center of attention, like limelight. So they prefer to work in just behind the scenes. Now, with a person in this category, with this characteristic, you would make sure that because they like to know everything in advance, you have to prepare them mentally and emotionally so they know what's coming next, right? And if you were to give them feedback, which is a little negative, just also make sure that you don't criticize them too much. You give them a bit of a positive so that they don't feel that they're being overly criticized. So a bit sensitive there. It's important to set boundaries for yourself here if you're in this category, so that people won't take advantage of your kindness and your generosity. So someone that's really that sweet, sometimes it's people do take advantage. And know that also sometimes you need to have confrontations because these might help you to address problems or issues as well. So, people in that category, they like to make sure that, when you talk to them, it's all small talk, it's casual, it's not business-like, okay? The last category here is conscientiousness. People-oriented, they're very analytical. They have very high standards, problem solvers. They are very factual, so facts, data, logic, and rather than emotion. And also, sometimes when they're making decisions, they're known to be skeptical. They ask a lot of questions, and they like advanced planning, and they're pretty much organized people. But their challenge there if you have someone who has very, very high standards, kind of hard to meet that kind of person, because also besides them being very critical of others, they themselves are critical of themselves. So it's kind of hard. So they need to pull back a little and not be so critical. And the reason why this happens is they want to get everything factual and right and logic. It's because they don't want to be wrong. They're scared of being wrong. Their value is held where people think they're so precise and accurate in everything in their life. So everything's got to line up. Now, if you are a C, take time to know people. Give them a chance to connect with you, but also be kind to yourself and to others. But and not be so hard, because I like this quote: is done is better than perfect. Because you have a perfectionist and it's very hard to achieve perfect, right? When you have a high C person, what you need to do is to give them time and space to work on, they say if it's a project that they're given, let them focus on their own and let them work on their own where they can produce the quality of work that they want to, that they are so used to. And basically too, it's people like that who, because they're so, I call it really, their standards are so high, a lot of people will tend to feel very intimidated by that. So if you're high C, you need to realize that and to pull back. Otherwise, it's going to be a bit tough there. So next one, please. So next one here. Next slide, Nada, please. Okay, so we have, this is called the personal assets inventory. So what I would like you to do is, because you guys have you have paper and pencil. So what you need to do is from the left to the right. So column 1, you go from 1, 2, 3, 4 that way. And what you want to do is to give yourself points, 4 points. 4 points meaning the most to least characteristic to the right on the first level. 4 points, assign 4 points to the most characteristic that appeals to you, that is applicable to you. Number 3, point 3 is for the next most characteristic, and then 2, and then 1. So 1 is the least characteristic behavior that you have. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, the first line, second line, third line, and so forth. So I'm going to give you a few minutes to do that. You're
Okay, so
clear?
Leonie, just so that I'm understanding it correctly,
Yes.
I'll reiterate what I think I heard you say in case
Right.
anybody else isn't sure. So first of all, you're going to look at the words directing, influencing, steady, and cautious.
Thank you, Shelley.
And
Yes.
then you'll put a 4 beside the one that describes you the most.
Yes.
And a 3 beside the word that describes you next. And then a 2 beside the word that describes you next. And then a 1 beside the word that describes you the least.
That's right.
And
Thank you.
Yep. And when you're finished doing that line, you do that same process for the next line: decisive, optimistic, patient, and restrained. Put the number 1, 2, 3, or 4 beside it, or 4, 3, 2, 1, however you think of it.
And 4 is the strongest again.
And 4 is the strongest, and 1 is the least.
It's this. That's right.
Yeah. So we'll give it, Leon, we'll give you a few minutes to do those 5 lines.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
And maybe what we'll do is I'm just going to show where I can see everybody. And when you've completed putting a number, kind of wave that you're done. So we kind of know where people are.
All of the columns right now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So you're gonna have to just put, like, if you put a 4 beside directing, and then you get to your next line and you put a 1 beside decisive, just put it underneath, because you're gonna have to add them up. All right.
Yes.
So you want the numbers to go across, and then the next line, and then you'll end up with 4 rows, like 4 rows, 4 columns, or 5 rows,
Yeah, 'cause
4 columns, right?
Yeah.
Didn't know that we were going to give you homework.
Mhm.
Let's go through. And also be aware that sometimes, you might see a word and you go, yeah, but if I'm in this situation,
Mhm.
I am easygoing, but in this situation, I'm not. Like, you're just going to have to write down what you think it best suits you in general.
As it says,
Question.
it doesn't resonate. I mean, some will not resonate with you, right? So, I mean, depends. Sorry, Lily?
Is this based on what you just shared with us?
Yes.
Then why is the first one directing as opposed to dominance?
No, do you know what? It is, but it's not. So take this as separate.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, take it as separate, that you're just looking at those 4 words and describing yourself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, keep it separate from the explanation.
Mm-hmm.
It'll do full circle and come back to it, but this is just about you.
Okay. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
And this is number out of what number?
Well, a 4, a 3, a 2, or a 1.
Oh, okay. Okay. No, thanks.
So
Okay,
4 is
so-
the one that's most applicable to you, and then it goes to 3, that's least, and then 2, and then 1 being the least characteristic behavior to you. So you're basically describing yourself, in these different words that relate to you.
So just as an example, on that first line across, I have a 4 beside direct. They happen to be in order. They don't have to be. So I have a 4 beside directing. I have a 3 beside influencing. I have a 2 beside steady and a 1 beside cautious. But in the next line, I have a 2 beside, a 4 beside optimistic, because that was the word that was the most for me. A 3 beside patient, a 2 beside decisive, and a 1 beside restrained. So you're doing each 4 words are a unit by itself.
I'm gonna say 4 is talkative is me.
Yeah.
Charming 4.
Uh,
It's interesting. It's anyway.
yeah. So put your hand up if you're pretty well done that. And some of you are just finishing up. So now you want to look at your column, and then Leonie can explain once you get through this. Look at column number 1 now going down. So you should have 5 numbers added up.
Yeah.
And then column number 2, add up your 5 numbers. Column number 3, add up your 5 numbers, and column number 4, add up your 5 numbers. Okay, Leonie, do you want to explain what it'll be what the numbers are?
So look at your numbers and look for the highest number that you have in whichever column. It could be column, like for me, my highest number is column 2. Okay. So look for your highest number. If your highest column total is under column 1, you are a dominant director. So you're a D. If your highest column total is under column 2, you are an interacting socializer. And if your highest one is under column 3, you are a steady relator. So you're S. If your highest column total is under column 4, then you are a cautious thinker, which is a C. Okay.
Am I going to repeat that one more time? Sorry.
Okay. So look for the highest number that you have in
Yeah, I got that.
the column. So if your highest column total is under column 1, you are a D, which is a dominant director.
Okay.
If it's number 2, column 2, you are an interacting socializer, which is an I.
Okay.
If you are number 3, it's steady relator, which is S.
And then C. Okay, cool.
And then C is column 4.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Everybody okay with that?
Okay, so now we have to figure out what exactly that means, or how that is going to help us when we're, looking at our own personal development, and also working with our team, because everybody has their own individual personality. And so, yeah, this is amazing with this part here, the behavioral styles overview.
Yeah, it just gives you, it breaks it down for you so you can sort of, look through it, and it's quite the detail there.
And I think, Leonie, you had talked a bit about the actual strengths and limits, and what you need to, if you are a D or if you are an I. So the D is the fast-paced and task-oriented, whereas the I is the fast-paced but people
People-oriented.
oriented. And there's going to be a lot of information here. So what I would suggest and what we want to kind of encourage you or challenge you, whichever way you want to look at it, is look at the strengths and pick out a couple of things that that relate to you. Like if you're going to try and learn all of this about you, it's going to be a lot. So look at a couple of things that you go, yeah, now I see why this is me and why that's working for me. But then also look at what possible things might be limiting you. And see if you can select one or two things that you want to work on. Okay. So maybe, it never slows down. Maybe you want to slow down. Okay. Impatient listener. Well, gee, we're in the business of asking people questions and figuring out their needs are. So maybe you need to work on or want to work on that so that when you're talking with your team or you're talking with prospects, that improves, right? And then look at need to. Need to is a biggie. And just write down one or two things that you want to focus if that's you. If it's not you, you want to look at it and say, well, gee, if that person on my team is a D, this is what I need to be aware of, right? Anything else that they were saying at leadership school, Leonie, about
Yeah,
some of
that
these?
would be under the next couple of slides.
Okay.
Basically the next couple of
Yep.
slides.
So here's the C and the S, right? Because
Mhm.
there was so much writing that it got split onto two slides.
Yeah. And there's so many different things that you can, like the strengths. Yeah, there's so many you can look at, right? And sometimes you might say, okay, some of this is C, some of this is S, it's all over the place because you can gravitate to, mostly one or two behavior characteristics. That's what they're saying. So, but it depends, like Shelley says, it also just depends on where you are, your environment at that time, that particular situation too, right? But mostly what your core person, you know your own core, you know your person.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we done with that one? Okay, so here it says your behavior style in a team setting. Your strengths as a co-worker or team member, maybe that you make decisions when others cannot. And they say others may see limitations because and there's a bunch of different, you can be insensitive to others. So they're just different things again here. Your strength as a co-worker or team member, again. What this basically says is, like, say, for example, if you're a promoter, right? And you're working with people around you, it's a good thing to get a sense of, before looking at that page, the other page, previous page, get a sense of what people are like when you're working with them in a team setting, okay? Because that makes it easier, and that makes you, in terms of task setting, or someone's, like, say if you're in a group and people are saying, okay, I want to do this, I want to do that, like you can sort of, if you are the person who is delegating, this will give you a sort of a guideline, okay, to working with your team in a team setting.
You know what
So
I
you-
notice on both of these, Leonie?
Yep.
Down where it says you can be more effective by, if you're a D, it says toning down your directness and asking more questions. And if you're an I, it says you can be more effective by listening more carefully, would be presuming after you've asked some questions, right? Or they're telling you something. So that's a skill for both. It'll be interesting to
Right.
see if that's on the next ones as well.
Mm-hmm. So these are really good tools, really, and yes, there's a lot of things that you can go through, but it helps you see yourself or see others in this too.
I think the other thing that's quite interesting as we look through this is I would feel that the tendency is to attract people who are similar to you, because I mean, that's just kind of life. That's who you're going to kind of get along better with or understand better, just because you do things similar, right? But if you're looking at building a team, you want to attract or have all of the D, the I, the C, and the S's on your team, because yeah, that just broadens who you're going to be chatting with, all the different skills and characteristics that you want a nice variety. So that's why this is a really important thing that Leonie is sharing here, because we want to not get pigeonholed into one type of behavior and how we do things. We want to broaden it to include so many other types of people.
Okay. So we can go to the, ready for the next one?
Even C has the focus on communication, so that would be listening and asking too.
Ah, okay. So when you're working with others here, it says, one of the things is this is expectations, people's expectations of you and vice versa. For example, if you're doing the high Ds, they want others to be direct, straightforward, and open to their needs for results. So when you're communicating with them, you be sure to make communication brief and to the point, or show your competence, because they'll be judging you. The Ds are the high Ds, right? They also, and you eliminate, I like this one, time wasters. Be prepared for blunt and demanding approaches or lack of sensitivity. So this is basically, looking to, when you're working with others, you can recognize their characteristics and you can tailor your the way you speak or the way you act, or it just helps you. Okay, so here, like it says here, the eyes, high eyes, want others to be friendly, emotionally honest. So be sure to approach them informally, be relaxed. So this would be like, for example, if you're going to a networking group, right? And you can spot the ones, you can, with this, I think it's great because I would be more aware, but you can spot the ones that are eyes. They're more relaxed, they're sociable, they chit chat and stuff. So when if you are gravitated or you're talking with someone that way, you know what to roughly, what you expect of them, what they expect of you because of that kind of characteristic. So you can prepare for certain things, or when you're, it says you're overselling, be prepared for overselling ideas. So someone you talk to tends to oversell their ideas or a need for the limelight. So if you know someone is that kind of person, then you can cater to that. When I say cater, as in, you know how to deal with that person. Okay. So this is again, how you interact and what your expectations are of others and what they expect of you. Shelley, you want to add something to this?
No, I think that's well explained there, Leonie. No, all good.
Okay. Okay, so that's that one. And I guess that's it for the oh yeah, here ICs, yeah, high Cs, yeah. Sorry, I forget you got two slides here. Yeah, high Cs, they want others to minimize socializing, give details, and value accuracy. So these are the things that you can provide for them. So let's say if you're going to a board meeting and a lot of them are like, okay, don't waste my time. We got this. And if you're a gabber, then don't be a gabber. You cater to that particular group, and you know if it's a business thing and what the expectations are, what deadlines. So you give that information rather than yap, and you have to. This is a great guide. Let's just say, okay, yeah.
Yeah, and I think, Leonie, when we were chatting earlier, this is really helpful for teams. I think it's also helpful if you've had a while to chat with a prospect. I mean, somebody who might be interested in the business, somebody who might be interested in some products, because it will give you a little bit of an idea as to whether and like why they might want to go into a three-way call, because they, you know, they're more of a social person and want to just kind of connect with more people within our community. Or some people might want some of the science because they're a little bit more detailed. And then you'll be able to understand how to follow up with them a little bit better. If you kind of have, and you might be guessing because you might have only chatted with them for a few minutes, right? But I know sometimes when I'm talking with somebody, I will ask them, would you prefer me to send you something that you can read or something that you would watch? Or would you prefer, like I ask questions trying to figure out what their personality is for how they would want to be followed up. So hopefully this will help you when you're connecting with some of your needs.
And what I might add to that too, Shelley, yeah, that's a good point there too, because there are times when say we're doing an event and you have to talk to so many people, right? And when you sent the information and when you follow up, you say someone, you know, oh, have you read it yet? No, and they're not into that. They're not into the detail. There are others who say, yeah, I've seen this. I've seen Dr. Arthur first. I've seen all the scientific stuff. And that's interesting because it just tells you the personality. So what I do, just a little tip here, is when I'm meeting people and we have that information sheet, you know, you get all their details, I will write, because it'll strike me at that time, a little note, person is whatever, just little character points for me to remember that person. So, you know, that would help as well as when I'm following up, when I'm talking with them, in terms of, you know, whether they're more sociable or just straight to the point kind of thing in the follow-up. So that's also a very good tool for these ones, right?
So I think for the next part, I just want to see what the slide is here. Yeah, we're going to do making connections. And we did chat about stopping the recording here, just because we wanted it to be a very open discussion and having people be confident with sharing some of this information. So if we can stop the recording.
I will do that. Fantastic job. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so now's the fun part.